What up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and excited to be here with you all, sharing this awesome episode with you. As I'm going to dive deep today, a little bit about something that I wrote in my book called "The Walk in the Dark," and we dove deep into the aspects of the left brain versus the right brain, and how this can either help you tap into deeper elements or help you distract you and make things more complicated in some way, shape, or form. So, before I get into that, if this is the first time you're tuning in, please do me a favor. And if you have not, subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss another episode or any updates and things that we have going on. If you've been listening, please share a review. It really helps get the message out there and really help us share to the world what we're trying to share about how we are tapping into that infinite possibilities and so much more. And as always, I appreciate you guys for all my subscribers for subscribing and supporting along the way. It inspires me really to continue moving forward in what I've been doing for the last 4 years with this podcast. So, one of the elements about this aspect is left brain and right brain. What is it, right? Some people, is it the male energy and the female energies? Everything in the physical realm has dualities to it, right? So we have left, there's right, there's up, there's down, there's back, there's forward, there's light, there's dark, there's health, there's disease. I mean, we have these polarities, and it's in every fabric. Well, in our brain, we have that too: left versus right. What's the elements of the left? What's the elements of the right? Most common, left brain is more logical, information processing. Okay, right brain is more abstract, more emotional processing. So that's just a few. Language is on the left side of the brain. Abstract thinking is on the right side of the brain. I always look at it as ego, left side of the brain, spiritual, right side of the brain. Now, some may say that's true and not true. For me, in what I've learned through the brain and the processes of the computing of information, I would say, people say the universe is always like speed, right? Love speed is what we hear often. So when you're in alignment, you hit that law of vibration, you're in that vibe, man, attraction is going to come, manifestation is going to follow right after it. So when you look at computing power, left brain, 7 bits of information, plus or minus two, for every second. Well, the right brain processes about 1 million bits of information every second. So there's different levels of a depth to that. What does this all mean for you in your life? Well, let's get right into this. So if most people, and I'm not saying that you are, but most people are some way, shape, and form driven by our left brain. We are dominated by it. We lead our lives with it. These are things of where certain terminology, there's certain patterns in language, that shows this. If you have any low vibes, you're stuck in the left side of your brain or stuck in your head in general. And we unfortunately, with today's of information era, this is what happens. We get so headstrong, and this complicates life. It doesn't make it simple. It makes things harder. Takes longer, and we get very stressed out in the process. But that's awareness to understand, because the left side of your brain, remember, 7 only bits of information, plus or minus 2. I want you to think of this in the construct of perspectives. Okay. Left brain has a very small amount of perspectives that it's going to see things in. Right brain is, I would say, almost infinite. 1 million bits of information is not infinite, but there's a lot of processing that's going on. So when you look at what it can obtain in certain situations, in certain aspects of our life, if you're stuck in that left brain, if you're dominating left brain, you're only going to see things in certain ways. You're only going to be able to, you're going to think that there's only one, this is the main reason what I have going on. And I understood this in how it plays in a role in our life when I was in chiropractic school, because through that process, I was starting to understand how when we look at these kind of constructs and we lead by a left brain dominant, which is ego, limited, these kind of things. One of the things I learned from that process is that when we lead from there, many times people are going to look at things and go, oh, it's going to be this way. This is your path. This is what's going to happen. So if you have this, this is what it's going to be. If you have that, this is your outcome. That's just what it's going to be. Very linear, limited, compartmentalized thinking, processing, and so forth. In a relationship, how does that look? Same way. oh, this is the reason of why my relationship isn't where it needs to be, or this is the problem with my spouse, that this is the reason why it's holding us back, and so forth. It's very limited and narrow. And most times, it's not the issue. In the coaching realm of what I do, when people come to me and they tell me what their issues are, 99% of the time, it's not that. As a chiropractor, I saw this the same way. Oh, doc, I have this pain going on. It's right here. This is my lower back. I go to make an adjustment, don't even touch it. And they're like, but doc, this is where the pain is. I said, that's great. That's not where the cause is. We're going to work on the cause. I can work on the effects, but guess what? That's not going to solve the problem long term. And so it's the same kind of thing in coaching, where a lot of times there's something deeper, and it's in their subconscious, not really in the conscious. And this is why I love being a mindset coach, because it's kind of the processes of what I do. And so that's the left brain, where we limit life and we think this is what it is, right? I'm not losing weight, or I'm not in a great shape, or my health is this way because of this. So what's a system that is followed that way is the medical system. Now, I'm not bashing the medical system, but so please don't take it that way. It's there for a purpose, it's there for a reason, and so forth. But it's a system based on from a logical perspective. And what I mean by logical is that it's very, this is their world, this is what they do. And then once you have something you're put into that world, they do a process of elimination. Oh, you have XYZ. This is what you're going to have to do for the rest of your life. Here's the medication, or here's a surgery and then medication. And that's it. And you're done. You're solved. Or you have a condition or an illness where all of a sudden there is limitations to that. And they're saying, well, you only have X amount of life, or you're going to have this for the rest of your life, or XYZ, because that's all they know. Right. And it's like the same thing a doctor told me at 7 years old, that I wouldn't play sports in high school, and I would have to have a hip replacement by the age of 30, because I was born bilateral couplet, where my left hip was actually really severely internally rotated, and they said that was going to cause a lot of issues with me. Right now, I had two options. I could believe their logical world, which believes that they have all the proof to show that why they're right, just like how the ego mind works. This is why mindset and mind is so powerful in all these things. Or I can step into a different world, not their beliefs, step into a whole different world, where it's more possibilities rather than that one path, and choose something else. And from there, did I play sports in high school? Absolutely. I played two organizational sports. I played four other sports on top of it. This was with friends and so forth. Every night we go play basketball at the local civic center. I'd be playing racquetball downstairs, working out. The same process was a 4 hour event for me. And playing tackle football on the weekends with friends and so forth. I played baseball and soccer as my organizational sport. And there's another one in there. I just can't think of what it is off the top of my head. But those were the kind of the sports I was playing. And then when I was age of 30, I took an X-ray of my hip just to prove that it was perfectly clean, and it was. There was no arthritis. There's no signs of anything. And so, what am I trying to say? The point I'm trying to make is that there's right side, which is open to endless possibilities. We don't try to construct what we think it's going to be. What we do is we step into an element that is different than language. Language limits this. So you can't come from language. You can't talk this. Language has nothing to do with this. That's not right side of the brain. Right side's feeling, it's emotions, it's body sensation and awareness, in a sense. So you're feeling this stuff. And feelings can have multiple codes, and it's a more advanced language than English or Italian or Spanish or so forth. It's more advanced because there's this energy that you're feeling. It has a vibration and emotion to it, and there's layers into that, to where we're processing things and we can tap into this more open, abundant possibilities of what's there. Right. So then, why am I bringing this all up again? Why did I thought this was very critical to share with some of the topics I've been talking about? Well, I've been having conversations like this, but there's also, when you think about this for a second, you look at your life. Do you look at endless possibilities in your relationships, or your health, or your mindset? Do you look at that in business and with money? Or do you get very limited in those things? That's the real hardcore question you have to ask yourself. And you got to be brutally honest with yourself. If you can't see it, maybe you don't do it. But in my own experiences, for myself and working with others, a lot of us do. We do it often. And it's one of the things where becoming aware of that could be the actual big game changer for your life. Because now you're not thinking what this is, because when we come from the mind, we're actually coming from the past. We're not coming to look into the present and into the future. We're coming from the past. Your mind's always in the past. So it's looking at when it comes to making decisions. Our body's in the past, cellular memory, and so forth. So all this stuff's in the past. So yet when we come to make a decision, we're going it based on past experiences. We're not coming from a place of what we want to create. We're not stepping into our power. We're allowing past experiences and things that we've went through and the choices we made and how it would happen to guide us on this next one. Sometimes that can help, but sometimes, just sometimes, again, 7 bits of information plus or minus two on the left side of the brain, million plus on the right. Which one do you want to choose? Which one do you want to tap into? You see, again, the feeling side is a language itself that you have to learn again. We've lost the art of this. Some call it intuition. But I'll tell you, this is not the woo-woo stuff. It's a physiological response. You get a physiological response, which means you feel it. There's actually a reaction, and we can show that this is happening from that experience. This is like when you have a vibe and you feel somebody out, and you just know they're good or bad or whatever it may be. Or you feel like you got to make a decision. You just don't know why you have to make that decision, but you feel and you know within you have to make the decision. You do, and it works out absolutely amazing. These are all parts of the process. There's not one to the other. And this is something that you have to learn to cultivate again, because we've lost this. When I was 12 years old, that was the moment I decided to put that away, to be accepted into my world of what I was being raised into and grown in my experiences with friends and so forth, to be accepted there, to give up on my intuition, to find out double my time later, which was 24 years old, to come back to relearn. And it took me a while. And there's been challenges through the process. I learned here, then I had to cultivate this, and then there would be something else that would come up that would challenge, and it was even deeper. And the deeper it was, the more I questioned my intuition. But I've learned over the years now to trust it, to know when it's accurate. And if sometimes I'm not feeling it right, my mind's really doing a good job messing with me, and my intuition's just, I'm feeling it, but I'm questioning it, I get outside support to help me with that. So then that way I make sure I'm still in alignment with the choices I'm making. So that's kind of the principles of this. So to leave you guys with at least something in this episode, I wanted to dive a little bit into then how can we tap more into the right side of our brain, right? Because we're so left brain dominant. How do we tap into the right? This is the art of doing nothing. This is the art of meditating, going and walk into nature, finding your happy place. I know this is gonna be something as simple as that. Doing something that's fun and exciting. Breath work, gratitude, getting into those kind of things help to fire up right side because you're going to get a feeling, right? Remember, right side's emotions. Left side can explain those emotions. Remember, that's language, but the right side feels the emotions. And so the key is, how do we let go of the mind, disconnect, and reconnect with ourselves? That's part of the right brain. This is not something easy to do. A lot of people are like, oh, great, got it, check off the mark, move on to the next podcast. Not that easy, guys. There's so much conditioning in the world today that I highly recommend. If you want to learn about the conditioning of the world or understand some of the fabrics to it, check out my new book that I released in May, Decoding the Matrix. You get it on Audible, you can get it on Kindle, you can get it on Amazon, and there's 40 some other places you can get this in the same aspect of it that will explain how our minds are conditioned. And some of these conditions in these programs go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 generations. So it's not something just new. This is stuff that's been going on over time that's influencing us and how we think and how we see the world and so much more. And the thing is there's a lot of subconscious. So I love the work I do as a coach. For those, just to plug in here, if you're a business owner or you're someone who wants just coaching in general to help transform your life and lead a better, more improved life, maybe to elevate your life in some way, shape, or form, look me up. Check out my stuff I have in the show notes. I do a free coaching call to where we can dive deep into that, because these are some of the principles I teach on mindset and how to alter and shift and change the mind, rewire your brain for success, rewire your brain for XYZ. We can do it, but we have to uncover the stuff that's holding us back, and that's in the subconscious. Those are our limit beliefs and so forth. But once we get there, then we can start working on reframing the mind, using the power of reframing to share how powerful mindset is. So then we can start to shift your life to where you want to go. And of course, just building the systems to support all that and reinforce it. Simple as that. Sounds simple though, but there's a lot more that we go into. So that's what I kind of got for you guys. And if you're interested, I got one last thing to share. We have a workshop coming up on October 13th. That's going to be this Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be breaking down of how, if you're a business owner, I'm going to share with you how to tap into the quantum world to elevate your life and success in business through understanding the quantum world and so much more. So spaces are limited. We're almost filled up already. So I highly recommend checking out the show notes. It's right there in the middle after the description of the show, and you can go ahead. It's free. And you can hop on. We're expecting to have a good amount of people on there, and like I said, we're almost maxed out already. So um, first come first serve. Jump on that. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. I hope you were inspired by this. And if you were, please pay it forward by sharing with someone that you know. And again, like I said earlier, if this is your first time tuning in, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss another one. And if you enjoyed this, please share a review. I appreciate you all. Until next time, stay blessed.